English literature courses are generally focused on developing certain skills in students, and most important of all this, or rather this one is all encompassing, is the skill or ability to write critically on literary texts, or even these days it could be cultural texts or events, because literature departments are expanding to include culture studies and other things. Now, here something very important needs to be kept in mind. Generally, what often happens is that students end up writing something descriptive when what is asked for or what is required is critical. There is a difference between descriptive writing and critical writing. In descriptive writing, generally, the plot or the storyline is neatly followed, or specific events are described, and generally, this line of reading literary texts were followed in the reviews, earlier book reviews. These days, even that has also changed. Critical writings, to the contrary, have minimal descriptive load, and then they try to take some position vis-a-vis the text. Especially these days, it is very important since the 80s of the last century. Now, criticism itself is not a general term, but it is often specified by some particular kind of approaches like feminism, post-colonialism, or ecofeminism, all those things. For the beginners, it will be easier to understand the matter if I draw examples from histories of literature, because that is one genre that each student of English literature is required to master compulsorily, both at undergraduate level and postgraduate level, almost everywhere. Now, if you look at the histories of literature, I will name three histories of literature which are really critical histories. The first one I would like to name is Ligui and Kajamia's A History of English Literature. It's not read much these days, but that is a real critical history. If we go by these famous words that the critic's basic tool is comparison and analysis, you have both these components in Ligui and Kajamia. Because they are French scholars, you often get the comparative aspect uh, of English literature vis-a-vis French literature. The other one is also quite good, very critical, that is David Diges's A Critical History of English Literature. The name itself is critical. And among the contemporary ones, I should like to name Andrew Sanders, the short Oxford History of English Literature. That is also a critical history of literature, critically mediated writing about literature. If you compare these things, read any of these books, and read other popular history of literature books, which I'm not going to name, all of you know those things, then since now I have, you know, made it explicit, you will see a marked difference. In those popular histories, the information load or informative load is more, the descriptive load is more. But there is what we call the takes or the criticism on texts, on ages, on authors is often missing, or often these are, you know, achieved from a common sense point of view. Whereas if you read the three histories, any of these that I have named, the two earlier ones and the one contemporary one, you will always find, as I say, you know, a very nuanced stance in their observations regarding ages, authors, texts, etc. So if you read habitually any critical history of literature, I think the first basic requirements of critical writing will be easy to acquire. And of course, then there is this next level, because today there are, as I said, no single criticism as such. These are always divided into different schools, theories, and as you go ahead with your chosen school, sometimes it could be, I mean, at the PhD level or and sometimes at the PG level also, for your dissertations and all, if it is required. It's as you go ahead with your chosen school, you read good papers from reputed journals, then automatically more and more you will acquire that critical skill. But the summum bonum is for the beginners, because in YouTube I think it is mostly possible to address the beginners only. Please remember that a critical writing or critical essay should not be a descriptive essay, even though there would be some description in any case, in even a very good critical essay also from time to time. But the lesser, the better. Thank you so much.